Her purple past, part 10. She half levitating as hands headed south, halting narrating whence lips pressed her mouth. Fingers clutched thigh skin, then buttocks were clung. 4 explorers were thrust in as sucked her probed tongue. So wet and oh so open, an ipomea for sun, and soon they so woven, silk weft spindle spun. A spiral gold silk weave in human-eyed form. The sounds were of sighs heaved in that silent dawn. In silence stayed students, yet from cots they all stared at the materials, odd movements. La Fabrique didn't care. It didn't care for punishments, it could not be berated, for everything was nothingness if those threads separated. A licking tongue flickered on the nips of her jugs, like a lacetidae lizard tasting air for winged bugs. Her fingers they fondled her lover's soft flesh, and melodies created, sif a clavecin caressed. 'Twas music they making, it's what she met her for. Their tune was earth shaking, it shook them to the core. A harmony sung sif by some celestial troubadour. Amelia Ambrose. The penultimate night in the good Lord's Bastille, yet I've seen me the light, and I'll die for that thrill. I've been shown the right way, and the way is with thee. So cometh what may, to life's locks you're the key. And we'll flee to Alberts, like you said we will, then Spain or else somewheres like even Brazil. I don't care where we're headed, we'll call there our home, and after we're wedded, we'll earn from your tome. We'll earn from your story when I've learned to write. As for your oratory, please end for our flight. Julie de Albany. 6 weeks I was moping about in my room, only just coping with my inner gloom. Sitting sad in my attic with no motivation, getting way too erratic so I'd no invitations. Unwashed and unwanted and so needing repair, whilst Thevenard taunted me bout the affair. Unloved and untouched, in full reminisce, with the past vainly clutched, he still took the piss. Till one day was the day, my string fucking snapped, and I strode in for repay, as in make him retract. He skirted the stage, Jean done, you've upset her! To try temper my rage, he wrote a trite letter. Sif penned by a lawyer, which made my rage worsen, I said in the foyer, say sorry in person. And there on one knee I forced him a tone, all tittered in glee at the big baritone. They tittered in glee because he so frightened, repenting to me with buttock cheeks tightened. I went to see Louis and went incognito, for to feel free, for he'd lost his libido. I needed a poke as ascribed with the vapours, but what used to be oak was now a small acorn. Fooey, my quim, was begging he bang her, what once full of vim was ailing with languor. Though Louis, my ex-patron, was so filled with concern that he ordered Jean Mappin from Toulouse to return. He hired us a cottage way out in the sticks for possibly frottage, as I'd known not grown a prick. There still simmered some fire, on stage still the best, but out in the shire I severely depressed. Sieur Maupin was decent and mellow and mild, but I craved a rough pirate or some such as wild. He yearned to be home with his prim-mannered man. I wanted to roam, shagging all that I can. We jumbled on by, but both so unhappy. He got even more shy, I got even more scrappy. I muddled on through as my opera singing after Les Muse's debut found my husband swinging. He was worse than he seemed, now it seemed so unfair, but he'd roped off a beam and jumped off a chair. And that was the end of my sweet little spouse, and I had to contend with that ominous house. I packed my possessions and rode to Dulunes, if only de Albert felt that I could commune. 10 years to the day since de Ouzes' end, and he held a soirée to remember our friend. My arrival was random to de Ouzes' do, as his memorandum was a weird déjà vu. Not ever before met de Ouzes' stepsister, but I could have sworn that before I had kissed her. Never before had we met, yet we melted. As we danced a duet, she said too she had felt it. Like me she'd a flashback, the angel had whispered, the angel de Florensac, de Ouzes' sister. Was too strangely familiar, whence asked for my help to haul the Grand Dauphin, as in the king's whelp. His love for her festered, he'd flexed his muscles, so much she was pestered that she'd fled to Brussels. She had to get married to squash his advances, but still he had harried for illicit romances. Still he had stalked her when wed June de Crussol, he'd trailed her to Gibraltar, 'twas furthering futile. And though he a pain and lecherous nuisance, I couldn't totally blame that dimwit's pursuance. Maria Theresa, the belle of the world, her breeze I'd embraced, for my sails were unfurled. I was the diva, but she truly divine. Then Maria Theresa said she'd be mine. She swore a betrothal in de Albert's grand hall, and my boat went full throttle through de Ouzes' ball. We danced and romanced till the glass guests had left, for her husband de Crussol I'd atone for the theft. Scant love twixt them lost, so it rapid dissolved, plus Franchon I'd fossed, so that was resolved. Though she'd kept aiming higher, or could be the driest, always the trier, and Jean one of the highest. Was voided their marriage, then to her chateau, in a 4-horse gold carriage for garden gâteau. We ate so much cake that the sounds radiated across that still lake where her house situated. We both went to lunch and lavishly fed, for nearly a month we ne'er left her bed. And when word got out that we were a thing, 'twas talk of the town in that Paris that spring. And I thought it was ire that fired my voice, 'twas love plus desire saw Paris rejoice. I sung from the heart to the world sat before us, as Diana in Des Martyrs, Iphigenia in Taurus. I was magnifico, my singing near bliss, yet I learned each finito, for sheer was that kiss. I willed the shows over, and after each elation I'd be with my lover in sweet isolation. Invites kept increasing to every event, and I went to one seething as in needing to vent. I went to one gnashing as in eye-seeing red, to give an ear-bashing with harsh words need to be said. The Grand Dauphin. Madame de Florensac, once more you've slipped away, and always off the beaten track to Monsignor's dismay. Doth seem you flit about like sand, well blow me, I'm the wind. Mayhap I'll blew you to stand still and twirl thee in a bind. Julie de Albany. The sand it hath now bonded, and it is here to stay, nor by it comes an absconded, as foundations now well laid. The sand is now in concrete, simoons no more be blown by thee in utter contempt, for that is what you've shown. I'm the water and the gypsum, for cement you'll never crack, and I think you'll find me fearsome, sir, if you will not backtrack. I think you'll find me fearsome, sir, if choose you to attack. Behind me stood my darling, who smirked at that poltroon, wilting at my snarling, marooned in that ballroom. Smirked at the dopey Dauphin, with his tail between his legs, as by his own accounting would never see her eggs. Invitations kept in coming, which we polite declined. We preferred to be home humming love songs whilst intertwined. We preferred a sweet homecoming than at outings being seen. Preferred to be both thumbing in privacy the bean. We preferred just one another to highbrow caressing, with my amazing lover ambrosial arousing. We'd still go to the theatre, where we'd make us an appearance, just us with one another, no outsiders' interference. Just exclusively for Monsieur we'd go to socialise, but she often attend the opera to hear me vocalise. I found myself in heaven, for paradise I'd found, for hit by deep depression, before my all was drowned.